Okay, so I'm just going to make a quick video and go over the ones you sent. So the first one, number 4, for vectors, you have everything right. You just, for some reason, you used a negative 4.66. But if you go ahead and use positive, you'll get 184.66 degrees. And that should work for you there on that one. So you had everything right. Something went wrong here, but so you should be fine there. Now let's look at your other ones you sent. So the other one says for the rose curve r equals 2 cosine of 9 theta, where's the first petal located? Well, luckily the cosine is actually pretty easy to find. It's always going to start at 0 degrees. And so that's it. 0 degrees, that's where the first petal can be found. If they ask you for like the second, third, or fourth petal, then you have to figure out the spacing, which you would just take 360 and divide by 9, which would be 40 degrees. So every 40 degrees, there will pop up a new petal as you go around the polar graph. And so if they ask you for like the third one, that would be at 120 degrees and so on. Okay, let's see. Or actually, I'm sorry, it would be at 80 degrees, because the first one's right here, first, second, and then like third. Okay. All right, moving on, looking at the next one. Let's see. So right here it says the graph r equals 4 minus 4 cosine of theta passes through the pole when theta equals what? Well, basically, to pass through the pole, that's going to be the origin of the polar graph. And so the way that's going to work is your radius is going to have to be 0. So you can just set this equation equal to 0 and solve it, and that will give you the value of theta in which it will pass through the pole. So let's see, if I subtract 4 from both sides, and you could probably do this in your head, you probably don't even need to solve this. Divide by negative 4, you'll get 1 equals cosine of theta. Sorry about that, that was my son. Okay, and so looking at this, let's see, so cosine of theta equals 1, that would be at 0 degrees. At 0 degrees, cosine of theta equals 1. And so see, if you were to plug that in, this would be 1, and then you'd have 4 minus 4, which then gives you a radius of 0. So you're going to be at the pole. You'll be going through the pole at that point. Okay. And let's see, the next one's basically the same question, except we're given signs, and it's very similar. So you can see r equals 6 plus 6 times sine. So basically, you need to figure out what would make this equal negative 1, and then you would end up with 6 plus negative 6, which would make r equal 0. And so sine is negative 1 at 270 degrees, okay? And then let's see, let's go ahead and look at the last one. So this one here, same question, go through the pole. We want to figure out when r equals 0. This one's a little bit harder because the numbers just don't line up as well as the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to 0 and solve and see if that gives me a clearer idea of what I'm dealing with. So let's see, we'll go ahead and subtract 5 from both sides. So we'll have negative 5 equals 4 cosine of theta. And then we'll divide by 4, divide by 4. And so we end up with cosine of theta equals negative 5 over 4. Okay, so where is that going to happen? And so alarm should be going off because cosine of theta is it's sandwiched between negative 1 and positive 1. And so that's negative 1.25. And so that's out of my range. And so actually this one's going to end up being none. So that was pretty much a trick question. And this one does not go through the pole. So none. Okay, I hope that helps. Send me some more if you've got some more questions.